Hi everyone, this is Nicole Steele. I'm the owner and creator of The Joyful Stamper, and I'm also an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Every Saturday I come to you with a video and a written tutorial using a card sketch from Splitcoaststampers. They're an online stamping community, and every Wednesday they post a sketch challenge. I love participating in them. And so what I do is every Saturday on my blog, thejoyfulstamper.com, I post the sketch, and I also make a video for showing you how I made the card that I made for that sketch, and I write up instructions for you too. So you have the supplies, you have the measurements, you have whatever way you like to learn, I have it there for you. So let's get started with this week's card. This is sketch number 814 from Splitcoaststampers, and it was a slimline card. These are extremely popular right now, and the beauty of them, they fit in a business-sized envelope. So what I love about that is I can get business-sized envelopes at my Dollar Tree, 40 of them for $1. And you can stamp them and decorate them too, just like a standard one. So, and I love the real estate that you have to work with on this size card. So let's get started with making this particular fall card today. All right, what we are starting with is a piece of crumb cake cardstock. Now to make a slimline card, I cut my cardstock to 7 inches by 8.5 inches, and then I score down the middle at 3.5 inches, and I fold it. Now you can decorate your card this way, or you can decorate it this way. It's entirely up to you. Now, the next thing I did is I cut a piece of early espresso cardstock, and oh, I can't happen to remember the dimensions of this one. I think it's 3.25 inches by 8.25 inches. But again, I have that written out on my blog. Now what I'm doing is I love distressing. It is so me. So I'm taking the blade of my scissors and I'm running it lightly around the edges of this cardstock, just to rough up those edges a little bit. And it's entirely up to you how much you want to distress this piece. Some people like to go so far as to actually make the cardstock tear. Is this like fingernails on a chalkboard for you? I'm so sorry if it is. I don't mean to be like that. Okay, so I'm just doing this lightly. Let me get those little paper fuzzies out of the way. And this is going to get glued to our card base there. And I'm just going to use liquid glue for it. We're not going crazy here. I think I'm almost at the end of this bottle. Here's a tip for you actually with regards to that liquid glue. Do you guys know that Yoplait yogurt, it's called Oui, O-U-I, the French for yes. I take the jars and I wash them out, and I keep little tools in them, and I especially like to keep my liquid glue capped and upside down in that jar. That way when I go to use it, the glue is always sitting at that tip. Now when my glue bottle gets towards the emptier side, it doesn't always want to come out so easily. So when that happens, I just give it a couple taps onto my scratch paper, and that will usually get it going. So those glass Oui Yoplait yogurt jars, they're phenomenal. I use them for so many things. Now I'm taking a piece of Gilded Autumn Specialty Designer Series paper from Stampin' Up. It's in the new holiday mini catalog. It is gorgeous. Look at all that foiling detail, right? But I'm going to use this side, and it's going to get layered on this piece right here. I believe this is 8 1/8 of an inch by 2 1/8 of an inch. That's going to get glued on that side right there, and we're just going to use multi-purpose liquid glue again for that. The patterns in the Gilded Autumn pack of paper are stunning. I've already used several sheets of it up with cards that I've made because I love it. I'm in the fall mood already. I don't like to rush time, but oh, I miss my hoodies. I miss my apple cider from the farmer's market. I miss it all. And I miss cross country. I'm a cross country coach. Okay, we're here to make a card though, right? So this is a piece of brushed metallic cardstock, and it's copper. That too is also in the holiday mini catalog, and you get sheets in bronze, copper, and gold. But I'm not just going to go ahead and glue this strip. It's a 1 inch by 8 1/8 of an inch strip. I'm not just going to glue it to my card. We're going to emboss this. Embossing foil is a definite wow. Trust me. And not only are we going to have a wow, we are going to use the new Stampin Up Cut and Emboss machine. I just got mine this week, and I've been playing with it, and I love it. It folds down all the way down to the base of the table, so it's nice and sturdy. We are going to use this Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder. Now the Tasteful Textile embossing folder, it's a 3D folder, so it's a little bit thicker than your standard embossing folder. So pay attention to that when you're making your sandwich for this machine. Now the nice thing about the Stampin' Cut Emboss is the plates are numbered, and they have pictures of the different sandwiches you're going to use right on the plate. So there's no guessing about what you're going to do. Now I'm using a 3D embossing folder, so I'm going to follow this sandwich right down here. Oops, I'm off camera. This one right down here, using with 3D embossing folders. This is plate number 1, and I'm going to put that on my machine. Next, I see in the picture, I've got my embossing folder with my piece of paper inside of it. Now you can see this foil is not going to fit entirely in the embossing folder. So I'm actually going to have to run this through my machine twice. It's okay. I'll put what I can fit in there. Then I'm going to take the embossing plate number 4 and I'm going to put it on top. Now remember, all of the sandwich instructions are on that base plate, so you don't have to remember any of this. Okay. There we go. Look at that texture on the foil. It's gorgeous. Now we still have to emboss that last little piece there. So let me bring my base plate 1 back, and I'm going to put just the unembossed part of my foil into the folder. And I'm going to set it on base plate 1. I'm going to put plate number 4 on top, and I'm going to run it through my machine. Now this turns super easily. There's no struggling. And my piece is completely foiled. Now there is a little bit of a line there. It's going to be okay. We don't need to worry about that. Okay, so now we're going to set that aside. While I have the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine out, we need to die cut some squares for this card. See these pieces right here? This is, what is it? Bronze. I use the bronze Brushed Metallic Cardstock to cut those with the layering squares dies, and then I'm going to use my trimmer to cut them in half to make those triangle pieces. So I've got my layering square die. I've got a piece of that bronze Brushed Metallic Cardstock, and now we're going to look at this again. Okay, so I pull out my base plate number 1, and I'm going to be using a thin die this time. So my sandwich is going to be this combination right here. I'm going to use this plate number 1. I'm going to put plate number 2 down. Then I'm going to put plate number 3 down. Then my cardstock and my die. And then I'll put the second plate number 3 on top. Now these plates come with the machine. They do not need to be bought separately. Okay, so this is plate number 2. This is plate number 3, and you can see that as you die cut stuff, I don't know if you can see in the camera, it is going to get etched into the clear plate. That's okay. Stampin' Up sells replacement plates when they get too gross for you to use again, but they're going to last a super long time. Then I put my cardstock down in my Brushed Metallic Cardstock, and I'm going to put the die with the cut side down on top of that. Then I'll put the second plate number 3 on top, and I'm going to run it through. You may hear a cracking sound. That's okay. It's normal. It means it's cutting. Whoop, that's stuck to the plate. There it is. Okay. Now this will make a nice frame on a card too, so I'm actually not going to throw that piece away. I'm going to save it for another project. But we're done using the machine. So let's get this out of the way. This folds up for a nice storage handle. Can move it easily. That's the standard size. Okay, let's bring our pieces back in so we can finish making our card. Okay, Now I already went ahead and had die cut one square ahead of time and I trimmed it in half, but I'm going to show you how to trim that one in half too. So you can take a cutter, and you can use a guillotine style cutter like I have, or you can use a paper trimmer. And I'm going to put this in here, and I have it in here diagonally, and I'm going to have the one corner along the cutting track and then the top corner on that cutting track, and just chop it or run your cutting blade down. And that way I've got my 3 triangles. And now I can go ahead and I'm going to assemble everything together. So I'm going to put some liquid glue. I think I need a new bottle of this. I am out. Too much stamping. Is there such a thing? Ugh, this one is having trouble coming out too. There we go. Okay. And we are going to put that piece right next to our designer series paper on this card front, leaving a little border there for the early espresso to peek through. Okay. And now I'm going to adhere my 3 triangles here. I'm going to skip the liquid glue for that, and I'm going to go with Fast Fuse. Now I still have Fast Fuse left from back from when we carried it. The equivalent this time around would be the Stampin' Seal Plus. And the reason I'm going to use that is because I like the strong hold that it's going to give. So I'm going to put some along these edges. Okay. And I'm going to line these up with the edge of the early espresso cardstock, not the edge of my crumb cake. So I'll put one there like this. I'm going to put another one, lining it up with the edge, again with my early espresso cardstock. And I'll put the last one down here. Okay. Now I pulled out my Ornate Frames dies, and I die cut these 2 pieces. This is Cajun Craze cardstock. That's going to go down there. This is vellum cardstock, and I stamped on it in Saddle Brown Stays On ink. And you're going to have to give it a little bit of time to dry when you stamp on vellum, because vellum's not porous, so the ink has a tendency to sit on the surface. And I am going to use some snail to adhere this. Now you can use Stampin' Seal, that's what replaced snail. And they both do the similar things. Okay. Okay. That's going to go in there. And let's run a little bit more down this side. And we're going to put that at the bottom, just like that. Okay. Next up are my leaves. Now this set is an oldie but a goodie. So yes, I am using a retired set, French Foliage, one of my all-time favorite Stampin' Up sets. And I stamped a variety of leaves on vellum cardstock in Crushed Curry, Cherry Cobbler, and Cajun Craze. And I'm going to go ahead and just glue them in an arrangement to my card. And I'm going to use snail or Stampin' Seal to go ahead and do that. Except it looks like I might be out of that too. No, there we go. Just need it rolled. And you don't need very much. You can just put a little bit down and it'll hold. I find the snail or the Stampin' Seal works really good with vellum. Okay, this one I'm going to put up there. This one I'm going to put right here. I wanted it to look like leaves just falling. one's gonna go up there. And I want another big one right there. And then my last one, make sure I've got it on the side that I want. I'm gonna tuck it. I wanna lift this up. Should have done this before I glued this one down. I'm gonna just tuck it right back here. There we go. Okay, then the next thing I'm going to do is tie a bow with a linen thread. This is a staple that I keep at my stamp desk because I use it so much. Tie it, fuss with it. Do you guys do this too? Just play with it until you get it just right. Now, I will use a glue dot to attach it. Now, you might have to roll the glue dot a little bit so that it doesn't show behind the linen thread bow. All right, I'm gonna put that right there. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I have holiday rhinestone basic jewels, and I'm gonna use these pumpkin pie ones. And I'm gonna put them right along the bottom there. Just like that. There you go. And then you can decorate your envelope. Remember, it's a business size envelope that this card will fit into. So there you go, a fall birthday card using the gorgeous Brushed Metallic Cardstock and these leaves. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. And if you want to see more of my videos, make sure to hit the subscribe button so that you get notified of when I post them, usually every Saturday. So, okay, thank you so much, guys. Have a great weekend. Bye.